So if you're into four-wheel driving and you're serious about four-wheel driving, having a winch is a must-have accessory. Not only can you recover yourself, but you can also recover other people. It's a cheap form of insurance, right? So anyway, today what we're going to be doing is installing the Ultra WInch PDX MK3. Now this is the 12,000 pound model into the Jeep. Now I could have gone the 9.5, but there's no weight difference at all. All it is the gearing inside the actual gear set. Now there's a couple of reasons why I chose this winch. Now let's chuck this on the bench and let's talk about them. All right, so now we've got this out of the box and on the bench, let's take a look at what you actually get in the kit. Now, this is the 12,500 pound winch, as I said before, 235:1 gear reduction ratio, and the gearbox, 6.5 horsepower motor. The actual finish is really nice. It's all black, sort of powder coated finish. You've got your synthetic rope. I think it's about 20 meters in synthetic rope with a sheath on it towards the end. And then you've got an eyelet here on the end where you connect up your hook. The control box is all sort of pre-wired and everything to go. You can plug in a wired remote if you wanted to, because that does come in the kit. Otherwise, it does come with the wireless remote here as well. So, which is probably what I'm going to be using. This comes with an in-cabin controller, so you can actually mount this inside the cabin. I probably won't be doing that because I don't think we've got sort of enough. We've got the wireless and we've got the handheld. Having this in cabin, I don't know. We'll see how we go. What else do you get? So obviously you got your clutch, which is easily rotatable. You can also change the direction of the gearbox if this wasn't suitable for your bar and you needed to rotate this. There is instructions in the manual how to do that. Just basically undo this, slide it out and rotate it. So that's that. All the cabling here is all pre-terminated on the end, so it's got nice big eyelets on it. And it also comes with a sheath. So it's one of the first winches I've actually seen with a sheath on all the cables. So that's fantastic. You're not obviously going to rub on anything, or if it does, it's going to be protected. You've got another negative cable which has got to be hooked up to the winch and obviously the battery. As I said before, you've got your wireless winch remote, so I'll be interested to see how far this actually works away from the vehicle. And then one good thing I really love about this is obviously it comes with everything you need, but it comes with an isolator. So it comes with a mounting bracket and your isolator as well. So you just simply mount that underneath your engine bay somewhere, and then you've got the isolator switch. It comes with some little dust covers, waterproof covers on the actual terminals here, which we'll probably put a little bit of WD-40 on them just to stop any sort of further corrosion. And you've got the nice big fair lead. Now this one is adjustable, so you've got either offset or straight ahead, and it's a nice black powder coated finish, so that's really good. And then you've obviously got the necessary hardware to install, like your bolts and all that sort of thing. You've got your winch hook. This is the other, I suppose, one of the key considerations I took when I was actually going to purchase a winch was how robust are they? I've had a worn winch before, and I've got that filled full of water when I was doing a river crossing, and subsequently had to get that rebuilt. Now with this one here, we have a full ventilation system on the actual case itself. So on the back of the case here, there's actually a breather pipe that comes and connects onto the back of the winch here, and then that you can mount that up onto your firewall of your four-wheel drive, and that basically keeps this thing waterproof and allows it to vent. Because obviously, if you're winching, generating a lot of heat, that's obviously going to pull water in if it's going to get in. So obviously, they all need to breathe at some point. But this just goes one step further with that little breather kit on it, which I think is absolutely amazing. So looking forward to installing that. You've got your handheld remote, which is just simple, just a normal switch on the top. As I said, you've got your in-cabin. Get a nice little Ultra winch sticker if you're into sort of stickers and on your four-wheel drive. And then you've obviously got some good detailed sort of instructions with some specifications and everything. Anyway guys, we're not going to waste any more time. We're going to get this winch installed into the Jeep, and then we're going to go out and give it a bit of a test. So what we won't be doing is we won't be doing a full install video of a step-by-step, but I'll just give you a bit of a run through of how I've done it. All right, so the winch is all installed now, and I've just taken it down to a local track just so that I can actually spool up the winch rope. But we'll go through that a bit shortly. But first, what I want to do is just cover off and how I went with the install. So let me take you through what I've done. All right, so how did I go with the winch install? Around about 2 hours, 2.5 hours sort of in total. Now with this particular type of bar, I didn't actually have to remove the bar.
or had to remove any sort of panels. All I had to do was remove these two spotties just here, and then I was able to drop the winch in. Now, first part of the install is actually installing the fair lead. So what you need to do is work out your orientation. Now, all I simply did was drop the actual winch into sort of position, and then worked out which hole I needed to use, and this one obviously worked out pretty well. Now, also, you'll probably notice that I've got a bit of a number plate flip. Now, this wasn't included in the kit. This is actually a part from K-On, and I'll leave a link in the description below, but it's an all stainless steel number plate flip, and it's highly recommended if you've got a your fair lead sits behind your number plate, because otherwise you're going to be ripping number plates off. And plus as well, if you hit any water, that's going to flip up and not tear your number plate off. Now, obviously, once that's all installed, we'll move on to the onto the winch body itself. Now, there's 4 main bolts that hold the winch in. You can see down the bottom there. Now, they are just torqued up to around about 100 Newton meters, around the same as a wheel nut. There's actually, I couldn't find any specifications in the manual, but I thought 100 Newton meters is probably well enough. So once that was all installed, we then move across to the wiring. Now, I did have to remove the grill to get the wiring sort of all nice and neat. So these just connect up to the actual solenoid, from the solenoid up to the winch body itself. And then you'll notice right down the bottom there, that's where our breather is for our motor. Now, that runs all the way up the side here into this little breather up here. So what I did is I picked up an existing bolt. I did have to drill out that L bracket out just a little bit, just to accommodate that bolt size, and then mounted it up so it's up nice and high, which is really good. Which is one of the actually main reasons I actually bought this winch, is because it had a breather. And I've had winches before where it's had ingested water and stuff, so that's a really good add-on to the actual winch. Now, coming up here, moving up, this is where the actual isolator is. So I've just it comes with a bracket, and I've just mounted it to this plastic bit here and bolted it through, and it seems nice and sort of sturdy. And then your wires sort of connect up to that, and then up to the battery. Then you've got your negative lead that comes all the way down. And you can see that these wires here, they're all nicely protected in that sheath. So it actually looks factory, like there's a factory hose there, and it's got the same sort of material on it. So I think that's really good. All right, so now we've installed the winch. Now it's time for a test run. But before we do a test run, what we need to do is we need to pull all the rope out and then re-tension it onto the drum, because when it comes from factory, they are not pre-tensioned. They are just basically loosely rolled on, and they all look nice and neat. But the problem is, we've got about 26 meters of rope on here, and if we go pull 10 meters out, and then we go winch and then put this vehicle under, or the rope under load, what's going to happen is that top layer of rope is going to pull all the way through and get as low as it possibly can. And then what that means is when you go to pull your rope out, it's going to be extremely difficult to pull out. So what we're going to do now is we're going to find a nice tree up the top here, get our tree trunk protector, wrap it around, hook on the winch, and just pull the vehicle up. It's nice sort of dirt sort of track on a slight 5 degree sort of incline. That's plenty of weight to get that rope nice and tight. So to disengage the gearbox from the motor itself, what we need to do is just lift this handle up, turn it 90 degrees, and then we can then lift our number plate up, and then we can pull on our rope. So now just pull the rope out until we leave 5 layers of rope on the drum. So as you get towards the end of the winch line, you'll actually notice that this last section of rope actually has a sheath on it. Now, this actually serves 2 purposes. The first purpose is it actually protects the rope from the heat that's generated from the motor through winching. And secondly, this now serves as a purpose to actually tell you to stop pulling out any more rope, because that becomes down to your 5 last layers. So with your rope in one hand and your tree protector and a soft shackle in the other, now it's time to go for a bit of a walk and find a suitable tree to hook up to. All right, so we found a nice big suitable tree to winch off. This is more than ample. Now, obviously, when you're doing any sort of winching at all, especially onto trees and stuff, you should always be using a tree trunk protector. It just stops the winch rope sort of cutting into the tree itself. Look, if you're at a pinch and you're really stuck and you don't have one of these, sure, go ahead. But generally, the practice is to use one of these. So what we do is just throw this around the tree here like this. We don't want to have any twist in it. And then from here, now there's 2 options here, right? You can actually use a soft shackle to connect up to this, or in this situation, if you've if your winch hook is big enough, you can actually just hook it directly through to the onto the tree trunk protector, providing that little clasp is remained shut. Now that's all hooked up. We don't need to actually use this at all, so I'll stick that in my pocket. Now what we'll do is we'll go back to the vehicle and engage the clutch. So one other thing I wanted to point out is that the actual rope itself also comes with another sheath that's sort of connected to the front part of the winch. Now this again serves two purposes. One, to protect the this rope once it's actually spooled in, protects it from the sun, so it stops wear on the actual rope. But the other purpose is that when you're actually winching and you don't have perfectly sort of flat ground and it's a little bit sort of, you know, peaked in the center, and your rope is actually touching that sort of dirt, what you can actually do is slide this sheath down where it's hitting a rock or dirt or whatever, and then that protects the rope from any friction burn. All right, so we've got the vehicle connected up, the clutch is engaged. The vehicle's now running. Now I like to keep the vehicle running because when we engage this winch, it does pull a lot of power, right? So it's obviously an electrical component, and the worst thing we want to do is we don't want to winch all ourselves up way up to the top of the hill just on the battery itself, and then discover, hey, we've just flattened our battery because, hey, we've just done a winch. So I'd rather keep the engine running and then it's still providing power. Now, in terms of the winch, this is the remote. It has an on and off button. And what we're going to be doing as well is also do a bit of a range test. Now, can I get 26 meters up the road and still operate the winch from up there? So that's one test of what we're going to be doing. So here's the winch. It has an on and off button just here. So just hit that on. There's a little red light that sort of comes on. It's a little bit hard to sort of see in the day. And then you've got your in and out sort of buttons. So what we'll do is we'll winch it in, take up a bit of tension. Nice and tight. We'll go up top and check our connections. All right, so now we're in the vehicle. What we need to do is just let the actual winch do all the work. So all we're going to do is simply just put it in neutral and take the handbrake off. And then what we're going to do is let that winch take the full load of the vehicle. Again, it's only a slight incline, so there's actually not that much. And then from here, we take our remote and then we start winching. All right, so with any sort of 12 volt winches, every sort of 30 seconds, you want to give it a 30-second rest. So it's about a 1-to-1 sort of duty cycle. What that does is just helps the battery, one, recover, and two, it allows the winch drum not to get so hot. What it also does is it allows you to actually get out the vehicle and just check to make sure that the actual winch rope is spooling nicely onto the actual drum itself, because what it can do is it can actually just start rolling or winding all into one sort of side, and you don't want that. All right, so for the last couple of meters of the winch rope, all we need to do is just basically secure the vehicle, handbrake on in park, and then just release the winch cable off the tree and then just wind the rest in by hand. Now, in terms of where do you actually put your winch hook? Now, I see a lot of people actually put their winch hook on the bottom recovery point, so right underneath the vehicle. On this Jeep in particular, there is no bottom recovery hook. They actually have some just on the front bumper, but on, say, Ford BT50s and all those type of things, they actually have them way underneath the bottom. Now, that may be a nice handy spot for your winch hook, but what I see a lot of time is that people, when they go out four-wheel driving, they don't prepare their vehicle for recovery at all. And so when they actually get into a bog, guess what? That winch hook is right underneath the bottom in the mud. So hot tip, if you are going to put your hook there, make sure that you actually get that out prior to actually doing some four-wheel driving. Hook it onto your antenna or hook it onto a soft shackle on somewhere attached to your spotty, just so that it's really easily accessible and ready to use. So as you probably just seen me do, I just hooked the winch onto the internal part of the bumper and then just sort of tighten that up. Now look, that's not a long-term solution, because what I'm going to be doing, and I'll do it in a future video as well, is be doing a hook delete off the actual winch. So basically removing all the metal components out of the recovery system, so that it just sort of makes for safer winching. So basically I'll be able to run the winch cable up to the tree trunk protector, connect up to a soft shackle without any metal parts involved at all. All right, so one thing I really wanted to do is test the actual capability of this winch. How far can we get with this winch remote? So vehicle's all hooked up, we've got the full extent of the rope all the way out. So now it's time to test, see how far we can get. All right, so we found the limit of the actual winch remote. It's about 35 meters. You can see the car all the way down there, and then you can see the tree where we're sort of hooked up to there. We're about 10 or 12 meters past that tree. So look, 35 meters, 40 meters is a really good effort from this controller. All right, so one test I want to do is see how quick that winch is going to pull that Jeep up that slight hill. Now, look, this test is no scientific test at all. It's just basically just to satisfy my own sort of curiosity, and probably yours as well. Now what we're going to do is just going to draw a line in the sand in line with the wheel in the center of the wheel, and then winch it for 30 seconds and then draw a line on the ground and then just sort of pace it sort of out. Now winch speed, or line speed should I say, is going to be dependent on a number of different factors. So this is only just a general sort of guide, right? Weight of vehicle, type of terrain, and how badly that vehicle is sort of stuck. All those things are going to come into consideration. And then again, if you're going to be doing a double line pull, well, then obviously you halve that distance into two as well. So let's get out and conduct this test. Alrighty, 30 seconds. We went from this point here, drew a line in the sand, and we've gone up to this point here. So basically a car length every 30 seconds, which, look, it's not too bad. And any type of recovery sort of situation, you never sort of want to be in that sort of in a hurry anyway, right? So, but look, what's that, about 5-ish meters there? So roughly 5 meters in sort of 30 seconds with just the weight of the vehicle. I don't think it's too bad. All right, guys, let's talk about the good things and the bad things. We'll start off with the bad things because I think there's more good things that outweigh the bad. First of all, the control box on top of the winch had some minor sort of scratches on it straight out of the box. A little bit of quality control that sort of just slipped through there. And also on top of the actual winch, on its main sort of body, there's an Ultra WInch sort of sticker, like a bubble type sticker, and that's sort of already starting to sort of come away. Hadn't even been used. So just some minor things to tackle there. Good things, I like that the actual thing's got a breather. Definitely it's a must if you're doing any sort of deep water sort of crossings. You don't want any water inside that winch motor because that's going to absolutely smoke it straight away. Sorry, don't mind me, I'm just getting smoked here by a couple of ants. What else? The winch remote distance I think is 35-40 meters. I think is absolutely amazing. Being able to control your vehicle from distances away is great. Now it does come with an in-cabin controller. I didn't bother to fit that. I just think having 3 types of controllers is probably a little bit too much for me. I think just the wide remote and also the wide remote as a redundancy is sufficient. Now would I recommend it? Well, at this stage I would say yes. I haven't given it enough grief to actually test it and see how it actually does perform over a period of time. So what I will do is I'll come back in probably 6 months time when I've actually tested this thing out in anger and give you my honest opinion. But for the moment, everything fitted up well. The fit and finish is really good quality, and yeah, at the moment I do recommend it. Also, just to let you know, just jump on their website and I'll leave all the links in the description below. So for the K-On number plate flip and also the winch itself, is that their pricing does vary a little bit from time to time. So if you can hold off, just wait for that price to sort of drop down, because I did see the other day it was on sale for $7.99, which I think at that price point is an absolute bargain. Now I paid about $1,000-ish, or just over $1,000 delivered to my door, and I got it in about 3 or 4 days, which I think is really good sort of quality, really good service. Anyway guys, if you've got any questions or comments, drop them down below. Until next time, I'll catch you around. Cheers.